Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Lou and I make videos about how to de-distort your reality so you can optimize your life experience. This video is about all of the unhealthy habits that I picked up, kept, and reiterated throughout my process to becoming quote-unquote successful. To give you a bit of background in case you've never seen me before, I went to Oxford and Cambridge. I got a huge number of doctoral scholarships. I'm a philosopher. I'm a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. I'm distinguished visiting faculty at Fairfield University. I have a multi-million-pound business. I have 5 employees. I live mortgage-free just outside of Oxford. That's all just a bit of a context cluster for you. I'm also very happily married and have 7 cats and a dog, so in case you thought that I was defining success simply by reeling off a CV, please do bear in mind that's absolutely not how I see life at all. It's just that, to be quite frank with you, if you want to achieve a lot for your career or for your education, unfortunately these things do come with trade-offs and very much a huge amount of sacrifice normally, and we're just gonna run through some of the sacrifices and trade-offs that I have made to date. The first unhealthy habit that I picked up was something I mentioned in a recent video, which was a double-edged sword, but it was effectively rehearsing in private. Before any class in which I would be reading aloud, like an English class, maybe we were doing Lord of the Flies or something, I remember that from GCSE, I would read, practice, rehearse, recite in my bedroom for many hours in a way that was becoming of a thespian almost. I would put in an immense amount of hours just to be able to turn up to class, not get any words wrong if I was chosen to read aloud. This was extremely time consuming for me. It was exhausting, but such were my levels of performance anxiety effectively that I felt that this was something I should be doing. It was something I did do, and it actually begat really rather good results. As they used to say, preparation prevents piss poor performance. The second thing I did, now let's take it all the way to undergraduate. So unhealthy habits at undergraduate, my god, there are so many. First one I would mention is I spent my entire first and second year practically nocturnal. I had absolutely crippling social anxiety at university. I masked it very effectively. Most people that you would meet who had met me would say, "What are you talking about? She's so outgoing, she's so confident." But again, this is just another way that I was masking. When I was in halls of residence, I was nocturnal and did everything at night. It was just terrible. I mean, I would wake up at about 4 p.m. and be up all night long, and I would literally just be on a different time zone to other people in my flat. It was the only way that I could cope with living with all those other people. It was just impossible for me otherwise. And this actually continued even into moving out of halls of residence and in with other people. It was a bit better at first, but when it got to sort of exam time and like getting all the coursework done, I was completely nocturnal again. I would go weeks on end without seeing even a single housemate, and bear in mind we lived in like a terrace house in Fulham. It wasn't like we were living in different wings of the National Gallery. I once again avoided people like the plague. I was very much interested and completely invested in staying in my lane. And honestly, this leads into another unhealthy truth about my success. I lost pretty much all of my friends. I alienated people with this behavior, with this way of working, with this way of living, being on a different time zone, appearing to have very different priorities. Clearly social anxiety, which was severe, and it is still severe for me. It made it very difficult to text people back, to explain to people why it was that I was so peculiar, why it was that I couldn't meet up, couldn't see them, couldn't even answer the door if they were like knocking on my bedroom door. I would overhear people saying, you know, what's like wrong with her and all this stuff, and it was just far too much pressure. I could never balance academics and social life. It was impossible for me, and after having dropped out of high school with anorexia, I owed it to myself to just do as well as I possibly could in my degree. These things are expensive, these things are never going to be easily done, so you might as well just invest wholeheartedly, full-bodied, sacrificing almost everything for it. And obviously I did come first in my year. I lost pretty much every single friendship I had from undergrad. I do still struggle with social anxiety even now, so if you do message me, there's a really good chance I won't be able to reply because I am such a perfectionist. I will personally feel like there's absolutely nothing I could say in a manner that would be timely, that would be sufficient, adequate, or in any way capably reciprocate the feelings expressed. So I'm really sorry about that. And that takes me to another one of my very unhealthy tendencies, which has characterized basically my entire life, which is perfectionism. The rehearsing in private thing is most certainly a symptom of my perfectionism. You might otherwise call perfectionism hyperconscientiousness. It's just an obsession, a type of OCD where you fixate on the worst case scenario, whether that's blundering a line when reading aloud in English class, or not doing as well on an exam, wanting a very high A rather than scraping an A. I am now a recovering perfectionist. I've gotten a lot better, or if you will, worse, depending on how you look at it. You have to be more flexible, especially in the business world. Not everything can wait. Not everything can wait to be absolutely perfect, and certainly not with things like management, leadership, emails, communications, teamwork. Nothing can wait for perfectionism in that type of environment. I would say most certainly perfectionism characterized my entire education pretty much all the way to the end. If I ever did go back and do another undergrad or whatever, I would probably still be a perfectionist, but I think I would at least give myself a little more grace. Having achieved so much of what I set out to achieve, I think I would actually probably go back and enjoy it a lot more now. In my business life, my achievements have yet again come at the cost of social life, and there is a particularly upsetting story that I have not really shared with anybody. My best friend effectively dumped me over a bad or misguided business decision that I made about 5 years ago. I still hold out a fig leaf for her, and I would say, please forgive me. I was in survival mode. My husband had just been diagnosed with cancer. I was doing absolutely everything to get the business off the ground. I wasn't thinking straight. I wasn't behaving in a way that really reflects my true values. And if you're watching this, you obviously know who you are, and I'm really sorry. And I obviously never intended to lose a best friend over a business. When you are on the pursuit of glory, which sounds just incredibly crass, it's really easy to lose sight of not even small things that matter, huge things that matter. I would do anything to go back and rescue that friendship. It did mean everything to me, and she was my best friend in the whole world. That takes me to my next unhealthy habit. It's more of the cumulative result of everything I've just mentioned, which is the fact that I have no friends. I actually have no friends. Nobody texts me, and this is probably because I don't text back. I have for such a long time been such a terrible friend because I have prioritized achievement, because I have prioritized education, business. The work-life balance has been off for so long that it has almost completely cannibalized anything resembling a normal life. As a result of that, not only did I lose my best friend, I don't have any friendships. I would say that the friends that I had from like school, I pretty much lost them because of anorexia. And I got anorexia because I was a perfectionist, and I was a perfectionist because I have personality cancer and was born with a troubling level of hyperconscientiousness. I lost all my university friends. I basically never could craft quite the right reply to a text message, a WhatsApp, an Instagram DM, an email. I was always way too perfectionistic, and it effectively led to just ignoring everybody or appearing to ignore them when actually I wasn't ignoring them at all. I was reading everything. I just felt completely inadequate to the task of replying. If somebody were to say, who would be at your funeral if I were to die in a week, it would literally be my parents, my brother, my sister-in-law, my husband's family, my aunts and uncles. That's literally it, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I will say I am incredibly lonely. And I'm not gonna lie, like, part of why I have wanted to do YouTube again is because I just have nothing. I have no community. I have employees. I must say one thing I do get right is that we are a remote team, and I just completely respect people's professional and personal life balances. I will not encroach on them. I wouldn't want other people to encroach on mine. I give people as much flexibility as they need, and I will never ask about personal things unless they want to tell me about them and it's salient to work. I do wonder whether all of this social fallout has been worth the upside. Would love to hear what you have to say. It's not pretty, actually, if I really am forensic about it. I am so disconnected from so much of what I've achieved, as I mentioned in my last video. I don't know whether all the money's been worth it. I don't know whether all the degrees have been worth it. It's been actually sort of a slightly misleadingly linear kind of entropy. But if you want me to talk more about the friendless, friend-free, if you will, life, I can definitely do that. Oh, I also didn't remember to mention the fact that I don't have any children. At one point would have liked to adopt a child, but business has completely taken over my life, and there is literally not a moment in the day that is spare for even another feline mouth to feed, never mind a human. I think I would have liked to adopt, and yeah, it's never too late, I suppose, but as it stands, I'm still running this business and expect to do so for the next 10 years or more. So yeah, that is the cost of doing business, as they say, the price of success. It's not pretty, and I'm not really very proud of it. Despite having a lot of things to flex, there's also this huge gaping chasm in my life, and no amount of sales or anything can fill it, really. I'm just very glad that I'm happily married, and I have all my lovely fur children. That's all I will say for now. Thank you so much for watching, and would love to hear from you. Mwah. Bye!